Welcome to Shallow. One podcast, two time zones, diving deep into a new topic every week. From pop culture to beauty and wellness trends, careers and ambitions, these conversations flood our WhatsApp inboxes and social media feeds. Dialing in from Sydney, Australia and London, UK, we're asking the same question. Is it really that deep?
The Shallow Take. Reality TV is our ultimate guilty pleasure. Over-the-top edits, mystery sources, and fake fights. We're not mad, we're still pressing play. From Made in Chelsea to Real Housewives and Keeping Up with Kardashians, the last decade has been full of binge-worthy chaos. It's dramatic, but is it also problematic? Is reality TV just harmless drama, or has it fueled a shallow obsession with fame, beauty, and clout? Or is it just not that deep? Scripted or not, the gossip's good, and joined by the oracle of reality TV herself, Lottie Somers, we're diving into reality TV.
Lottie, thank you so much for joining us today. There is honestly no one better to talk about reality TV with. I'm sure you've seen every single episode of every single franchise of Real Housewives. But before we get into this, we like to start with a recommendation when we can remember. Is there anything that you're loving, reading, watching, eating at the moment?
I have to confess, I spent the whole of my Saturday, so yesterday, watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
So on brand.
Great.
You know, it's been a very busy work time, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna sit still for the day. And I watched 6 episodes back to back, and it was absolutely fantastic. So that is series 2 of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives on Disney Plus, and it's fantastic.
What's it to do with? Lots. Give us the synopsis.
Oh, so it kind of does what it says on the tin. So it's based in Salt Lake City in Utah, obviously Mormon capital of the world, and it's based on kind of people in their 20s and 30s. They all got married really young, they all have children, they're all kind of part of the Mormon church, but their lives are absolutely insane. It all kind of came to fruition because they have this thing called Mum Talk, which is the TikTok.
It's like mum's side of TikTok, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So they started Mum Talks. They all have loads of money, but then it came out that they were all swingers.
No.
Not all of them, but a lot of them were swingers. So yeah, it's just kind of following how crazy their lives are, and it's kind of taking away the cloak of Mormons, I guess. But yeah, with that combined with Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, I do feel like I know a lot about Mormons now. So yeah, it's a fascinating genre.
Do you know who Heidi Powell is?
No, I don't.
She used to. I think her and her ex-husband Chris Powell, they used to do a year to save your life, and I follow her in Instagram from that show because I used to be obsessed with watching that back to back. And I think she's a Mormon, and she's giving very much the Mum Talk Mormon vibe. So I wonder whether she knows of it or knows that. That would be interesting.
Yeah. Are they based in Salt Lake City?
Maybe not. Maybe that's why. But I know she sent her 18-year-old soft son off to be a Mormon, and he's now going around preaching in the US, and she's so proud of him, and he's got this brown suit on, and he goes knocking on doors and stuff, which I didn't expect because I don't know why I didn't expect it, but that's America for you, isn't it? It's
wild. And there's on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, there's this amazing woman called Lisa Barlow, and she calls herself Mormon 2.0 because she drinks tequila and all of this, but then also sent her son off to a missionary. So it's just
that's what it is, a missionary. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I feel like we could do the whole episode on this. One more thing before we move on. So when you say that say that they swing, is it a community and they all just share?
It's not meant. They're not meant to do that. The church doesn't actually allow for that. I think they just all get married so young. None of them drink. They do. It's really weird how they stick to some rules but not others. But yeah, I think they're all just frustrated early marriage people.
This is so good. So good. I mean, look, before we fully get into it, let's rewind a bit. When did your personal love of reality TV start?
I genuinely think like I could go so far back. I mean, Phoebe, you and I obviously used to watch ANTM, America's Next Top Model, like religiously growing up, and that must have been when we were in primary school. So yeah, I think I've just grown up on every single program. My Super Sweet 16, MTV Cribs, America's Next Top Model.
It goes back such a long way, doesn't it? Because I think when I think of reality TV now, I think of like Love Island, Big Brother, but like we were watching it when we were like 10.
Oh, 100%. I mean, yeah, so My Super Sweet 16 came out in 2005. MTV Cribs came out in 2000. The first Big Brother came out in 2000. So everything did actually, kick off early doors. So yeah, we really grew up in that kind of crazy time where it was just, snowballing. But yeah, so probably problematic and did affect our psyche growing up, but still.
I mean, what did you think it was that kind of drew you to reality TV? And like, obviously you still watch a lot of it now. So like from that kind of early age to kind of like present day, what is it that kind of just keeps getting you hooked, basically?
I've been trying to think about what it is and like pinpointing it. And I do think it's like a combination of things. I think it's escapism is a big one. You're often looking at people that have like completely opposite lives to you and they're not very relatable, but I think that's like there's a human interest point there. You kind of it's a bit like gossip. Like I think human nature is to love a bit of gossip. I think I used to in my teens loved being part of all the drama. Nowadays have a very drama-free life, so I just live like vicariously through these people. So yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to human interest and enjoying being part of the goss. I mean, I love secondhand goss. If someone comes to me with some goss about someone that I've never met before, I live for it. So yeah, I think it's just an intrinsic love of the goss.
Isn't that just like the best part about gossip though, is when you're not involved and you can like enjoy the drama of it, but you don't have to be like involved with it or having your name thrown around.
Precisely, exactly. And that's what you get when you turn on the TV and you watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills going at it. Like, love it.
Would you ever apply for a reality TV show? Would you ever go on one?
I feel like if you asked me this a few years ago, I would have been like, yeah. Like, let me on Real Housewives. But I don't think so now. I think, I walk the dog 3 times a day, look absolutely horrendous. I don't think I could stand the idea of there being like a pap around the corner and that ending up in like Hello magazine. Like I just don't think that's for me. But I would definitely make a cameo. So any like friend of situation, I'm there.
She'd step in. Speaking of, you've mentioned Real Housewives and stuff, I want to just talk about some iconic moments for a second. For me, the most unforgettable moment on reality TV was Made in Chelsea, Louise and Spencer on the bridge. Like they broke up on, I think it was like Westminster or like Chelsea Bridge. And then I think Millie like slapped him at a party. And like, I don't know, that was peak reality TV to me. Is there any that stick in your brain as like, oh, that was a moment?
Oh my God, those early days of Made in Chelsea were just the best. I think any iconic moment when it comes to reality TV centers around the GC, Gemma Collins. I mean, she is like any TV producer's like absolute dream. Like she's just anything she touches turns to gold when it comes to reality TV. So I think in the early days of Towie, when it was like on off with her and Arj, and she's like in that swimming pool at a party and she like drops her sarong and is like, you ain't ever gonna get this candy. Like, I absolutely love it. And then when she was in the Celebrity Big Brother house and she was like, I'm claustrophobic, Darren, and I think I honestly say that about 3 times a week. So yeah, I just, anything with a GC, just absolutely love it.
Let's get into kind of why people watch reality TV. I really want to hear from your perspective because, you know, you consume so much of this, and I think me and Lucy kind of dip in and out a little bit. Why do you think we just love watching people argue, cry in a confessional booth, like go at it over dinner? What are your kind of key points, like why we just can't get enough of this?
Yeah, I have actually looked into the psychology of this as well, because I want to make sure that it's not just me talking randomly about my own kind of thoughts, but it is actually, you know, all very similar in terms of the human interest side of it. People are genuinely just interested in other people's lives, and a lot of reality TV is kind of, you're looking at different groups that are maybe aspirational. So Real Housewives, for example, they're all like stinking rich and have these like wild lifestyles. So you're looking at people that it's like unattainable, but you're getting a glimpse into their lives. It's a window into their lives. We know that it's not obviously 100% true, and you know, there's a structure to it, there's some scripting to it, that kind of thing, but ultimately you are getting to see inside their homes, inside their lives, what they do on the daily. Like, it is just really interesting. And I think you get a look into different cultures. I mean, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I mean, who would have known that we would know so much about Mormons? And, you know, it's surprising the things that you see, but in that kind of way, I think it's just so interesting. Also the escapism side of it, you know, our day-to-day lives can be quite heavy. You know, we could be kind of avoiding things, and you kind of turn on the TV and you're in someone else's world. You know, that's good to an extent, sometimes not good to a full extent, because obviously you can be like putting off things. But I think like from a shallow level, the escapism of it is another kind of big point. Also the kind of human connection that you can like, this was something that I was reading up on, and I thought it was really interesting because I kind of could relate to it, is that when you're watching reality TV, you do end up kind of building a connection with those people in terms of, you know, you feel like you relate to someone, or you feel like you don't like someone, and then you can talk about it with your friends who also watch the show, and it's kind of that it kind of builds a bit of a community and a social connection that you might not get from something else. So yeah, I think they're kind of the 3 main points in terms of the psychology of why they're so successful.
Yeah, and I guess like when you are watching these things, like some of these things are completely unrelatable, and you're watching it, you know, like you're watching Mormon wives and you can't relate at all, and you're kind of learning things. But then like on the flip side, there'll be kind of like, you know, scenarios where you're like, okay, that happened with me and my friendship group, and that person's being horrible, or that person's like out of order, or they're being so rude to that person, and you kind of you like you said, like you start defending and taking sides because you're kind of relating it to yourself and how you would react, to maybe how you've reacted before in other situations as well. And it's interesting about the kind of voyeuristic nature of it as well. Like, we like the arguments, we like those kind of juicy moments. And there was like an article that I read that kind of likened it to car accidents. So when people, you know, they kind of drive by and, you know, they can't help but to just stop and stare, like that you just can't. And like, you know, you're sat in that like 30-minute traffic, like, oh my God, can people just go? Like, this is, you know, a private thing that's happening. It's a horrible thing that's happened. We shouldn't be looking, but everyone's slowing down and now I'm going to be late. But then when it gets to your turns, you know, you're like, oh, like, what's happened? You know? And it's kind of the same with reality TV. It's kind of a bit of, in a way, like, yeah, morbid curiosity.
100%. I think that's exactly it. It's human nature to want to watch. We want to watch conflict, want to watch, you know, and I think when there's kind of happy times as well, that's also really nice. But ultimately, the the shows that are based on the drama, the turmoil, things like that, they are the most successful shows for a reason, and that's because they speak to a part of human nature that that lives for that.
Yeah, like you want the tea, don't you? Like that's the exciting bit of any of the shows. It's like, is she gonna throw a drink in her face? What's gonna happen with so and so and so and so? I think for me as well, like a huge part of it is being in the culture. Like, you know, I was out for drinks with some girls the other night, and like, you know, the most animated part of the conversation was when we were talking about Below Deck. Like people just love it, and you feel like you're involved in the conversation, and it's like, what about so and so and so and so, and it's just fun, isn't it?
100%. It is just a bit of fun, and I think, you know, things have come on so much, and you know, I think if we used to not like someone, or you know, that kind of thing, if there was a villain on the show, it could have been quite damaging because that person might not have been like fully aware of what they were getting themselves into. But I think nowadays it's so much like every contestant, every cast member, they know exactly what they're getting themselves into, and a lot of the time people actually try to make themselves the villain because they will get more airtime as well. So, which I found really interesting, because that was like completely the opposite to what I would ever want to do. But actually, you can see people sometimes, if you watch, you know, certain shows, you can see people trying to give themselves a villain arc because it's known that the villain gets more airtime, the villain gets more press, like everything. So interestingly, a lot of people actually kind of give themselves that as well. So it's, I think people just are going into these things with their eyes open, and so therefore I do think it's a bit of fun because they know what they're getting themselves into, and we're not laughing at them, we're laughing with them.
Yeah, I think that's interesting as well, because I worked on a show called Battle Camp, which is like a kind of not Squid Game, like a Love Island meets kind of like Traitors like style show. And there was a contestant on there called Lorenzo who was on the Squid Game reality series, and he did really well on Squid Game, and people really liked him because he was like taking other people's food, and like he was a bit of a sassy like European, and everyone else was kind of an American who was a little bit more like, oh my god, he's so horrible, and he would just be, he wouldn't care, and he'd just go and take other people's food, and you know, he was a bit, you know, horrible or mean. And then Netflix instantly commissioned him into another reality TV series, and it was the same with like a couple of the other contestants that went on that as well. They'd kind of got into it because it was like they were all kind of like ex-reality stars that'd done well on other shows, and they'd all kind of had some sort of like, they'd either been maybe like picked on, or they were the ones that were picking on someone else. So, and then just throw them into a reality show, and you've got a success, really, isn't it?
100%. No one likes a meek character. Like they you have to bring something to the table. And if you want to do one of these shows, the likelihood is you want to do it because you want something out of it, probably fame, probably more. So you have to make yourself relevant, and whether that's through being like the nicest one or the worst one, then you know, it's interesting.
Also, I feel like Spencer Matthews spoke about this quite a lot. Obviously, you know, he was like the real villain of those first couple seasons of Made in Chelsea, and he was like, you know, I think his friend started the show, I could be wrong on this, and he was like, we had to give a hook, like you have to put some meat on the hook, otherwise people aren't gonna watch these. And then, but ultimately, you know, he's also now the one that has gone on and been incredibly successful, been on multiple other reality TV shows, he's got his own podcast, he's got his own non-alcoholic drinks line. So it's really interesting to see how, like, if you have that vision from the start, how that can snowball into a career for you.
100%. And I find those early days of Made in Chelsea, like reading Louise Thompson's book, for example, she speaks about those early days of Made in Chelsea. Obviously, we all know those early days of Made in Chelsea were the absolute best, like they were the heyday. And I think that it's the same with kind of any reality show, really, is that the first few series are always the best. And very much so in those early days as well, because a lot of people just didn't know what they were getting themselves into. They didn't know kind of the breadth of the audiences or anything like that. So it was much more real. So Louise Thompson spoke about this in her book, where she's, you know, spoke about how much she used to cry and things like that, but she genuinely just kind of was herself. Whereas nowadays, I don't think you get that as much. You don't get that authenticity. And I think that was obviously very problematic for a lot of people that were on those shows as well. But from a viewer perspective, it was the best.
Do you think it's like more orchestrated and more scripted now because they're kind of trying to chase the high of those kind of original series of reality TV where it was a bit more real? And because they did so well, they're trying to kind of emulate that, but in turn maybe making it less real and less kind of relatable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've watched Made in Chelsea recently, but it sucks. Like, I think like they are, as you say, it's people know what they're getting themselves into now. They know what looks good, what doesn't look good. It's all about their own brand as well. So every single person that's on that show will have their own social media, their own TikTok, their own brand deals. And it's the same with things like Love Island and things like that. People want to come out with a brand deal. They want to build their own brand essentially. And therefore, we're not always seeing authenticity and, you know, genuine conversations or anything like that, because not only is it kind of being scripted to an extent by the show, but also by that person themselves and how they want to come across, and it's all very, very orchestrated and thought through. So I just don't think that makes very good telly. So yeah, I don't watch that anymore.
I think this is why I kind of have a bit of a disconnect with kind of these kind of reality shows where it is, you know, following people around in their day-to-day life, because I'm like, oh, well, this bit's fake. I can just tell they're acting. And I think I'm more drawn towards the kind of competition-based reality TV series, kind of like Traitors, for example, and things where they're like winning something. And I think when you've got something to like gain and, you know, there's a prize pot at the end, I think people's true natures really like come out. And especially on the show Traitors, like people's true natures really do come out. And that's like the whole point of the show. And yeah, I just think there's more at stake, rather than kind of, yeah, maybe performing for the camera because you're going to get so many likes on TikTok because you flipped someone off or whatever.
Yeah, I think Traitors is just elite. Like, it's elite in every single way. I mean, I know that you work on the show as well, Lucy, but so well done, because it is just so, so good. But I don't think the UK do reality TV very well anymore for all of those reasons, but I do think that America still, they have it down. They have the blueprint down. They are, I mean, anything basically on Bravo, so that's what we see on Hey You, so Prime Video and then Hey You. It's the American kind of TV network, Bravo. Anything on Bravo is going to be fantastic. And I just think that they just have it down so much better than the UK does. So they've got your Real Housewives, they've got Below Deck, Summer House, Vanderpump Rules, you know, all of those kind of things. For me, they haven't lost their charm. I think they still have what's needed to hook people. But I think the UK just, I don't know why, we're just not the same.
We're too honest.
I think it's just too see-through as well. I think, you know, they try to do, well, actually, Real Housewives of Cheshire is on its, like, look, they've had so many seasons. It's over 10, but it's absolutely awful. It's been terrible from the beginning, because you can just tell that these people are acting and not being themselves, whereas kind of every other franchise, you can tell that people are being authentic, but it's just, there's something about the UK that it just doesn't hit the same.
So you feel like you can really spot when that, like, because I mean, one of the biggest criticisms about reality TV is like the real versus fake debate, like how real is it? And I think part of me is like, oh, you know, does it really matter? Like, we've all got two sets of eyes. But that being said, like, I think for me, it's the further I get into a reality, like, I think, let me rephrase, I'll start watching a show and I'll be like, oh, this is obviously not real. And then the further I get into the show, the less I like lose the ability to like tell the difference of what's real and what's fake. Do you feel like you can spot when the drama is real, and how much does it really matter to a good reality TV show?
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on what you care about as well. So as you say, like if you're really enjoying something and then the occasional thing feels a bit set up, I mean, I just don't mind. I think, oh well, they're obviously doing it for a reason. They needed to make that confrontation happen, so they had to do this. Fine. Yeah, you can obviously, I do think you can tell when things are really set up. I think Made in Chelsea is a really good example of that, where you just know that there's a storyline that people are having to stick to. I don't like it when it's like that, but yeah, you know, that I think the hidden camera shows are so good for this kind of thing. So, you know, your Big Brothers, your Below Decks, things like that, where it's I know that there are other cameras as well, but mostly you're seeing real lives on hidden cameras. So it's kind of real reactions to things and things like that. I do think even if a show is scripted or structured, most of the time your reactions are still real as well. So if a scene is set up, usually it's kind of one person that said to the producer, right, I want to confront XYZ about this topic. I'm going to come to this location and I'm going to do it. That other person wouldn't be privy to kind of what that conversation is going to be on, but they know that they're going to go and meet them. So actually a lot of the time that reaction is going to be real at the same time. So the lines are so blurred and I just don't care.
If you're enjoying Shallow Podcasts, it wouldn't be shallow of you to give us 5 stars on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, and it would mean the world to me and Phoebe. Thanks. I just wanted to kind of touch on, just for a second, the kind of more problematic side of reality TV. Because obviously it's all fun and games, and, you know, I've sat there and back-to-back watched like 40 episodes of Married at First Sight and thought I was actually going insane by the end of it, and thought I actually need to just like get out the house and like detox. Like, I can't believe I've just sat here for the whole weekend. But there is kind of more of a problematic side to it. And the first kind of show that comes to my mind, and I think a lot of people will kind of agree with this, is Dance Moms. And, you know, Abby Miller and the allegations of abuse towards the children. And, you know, I think she went to prison for fraud as well. I don't know whether any of these kind of allegations were properly, like, you know, brought to a head and she was actually maybe charged for them. But one quote I found was, according to one of the former Dance Moms, Diane Penn, mother of season 1 guest and dancer Brandon Penn, Miller used to post the weights of her students publicly around the studio to shame them, and also made them execute ballet leaps while holding sacks of potatoes to suggest that dance is much harder for those who gain weight. And this is just like a very, very small like thing compared to some of the things. Like she would force some of the younger girls to kind of go on stage and wear thongs, and they would be like 11 years old. And you know, she was on the show for, you know, many seasons. I only watched like the kind of odd episode here and there, and, you know, she was very vocal, she was very, very loud, and you could tell the kids were really stressing out. And yeah, I feel like there is this kind of problematic side where, you know, these big personalities, you know, like you said, get put back on because, you know, they're gaining airtime, they're gaining viewership, because people are like, whoa, she's crazy, she's, you know, really hard on the kids, or, you know, and it is that kind of like voyeuristic nature of sitting there maybe as a bit of a bystander, because yeah, it's on your screen and it surely must be fine because, you know, they've commissioned it. But, you know, there is a line that maybe, you know, producers do cross sometimes where they're like, maybe we shouldn't keep this person on because, you know, they are verbally abusing children, but we'll keep it on because it's getting us money.
Yeah, I think the early days of reality TV, I think this was time and time again, this was a very common story, not obviously the exact one, but the duty of care was just zero. It just didn't exist. And, you know, if the viewers were there, they didn't care about who was on or what was going on. I think America's Next Top Model is a really good example of this as well. I mean, we've all seen so many contestants, even to this day, are still coming out and saying how much the way that they were treated impacted them throughout their lives. And you know, those early days of Love Island, even, which was a few years later. I mean, I think Dance Moms was probably early to mid 2000s. So they were kind of, that was when everything was snowballing in terms of reality TV, but people didn't even know about duty of care, I don't think. And it was just problem after problem. But even a few years later, when Love Island came out, obviously we all know that there was a lot of mental health issues with people that when they came out as well, and the duty of care just wasn't there either. So I do think those kind of early days were really problematic, and I don't think anyone would deny that at all. And it has affected people kind of for the rest of their lives. I would like to say that's not a thing anymore. Obviously, I'm not privy to absolutely everything, but I know from the shows that I do know about that had to really kind of 180 on their duty of care, like Love Island. They've now put in so many steps and so many things, and the audition process is a lot more robust in terms of making sure that people have that mental health resilience before they go in, as well as providing the aftercare afterwards. So I think to your point, Lucy, I think it was a really, really, really big problem, but I like to think that that's not the thing anymore. But I could be completely wrong. I mean, quite recently in the do you remember Cheer that came on Netflix a few years ago? And then one of the cast members, it was found that they were texting people underage and ended up, I think, going to prison, but don't quote me on that. And, you know, everyone loved them when they were on Cheer. So I don't think that, you know, it's not 100% robust in terms of kind of filtering out absolutely everyone, but hopefully there's a lot more processes in place to make sure that the right people are on these shows.
Definitely. I mean, I remember, just like watching America's Next Top Model, again, as we said, at like the age of like 10, 11. And like, we just thought it was super entertaining, like genuinely. And I saw a snip up of, you know, judges' comments that they made about the way the girls looked, their weight, and like none of it's good. And I was just like, oh my God, we just ate this up. And then, you know, I think back to like the X Factor, and I don't know if they still do this. I haven't watched the X Factor in a while. I don't know if it's even still running. But, you know, like they used to kind of wheel out really shit singers, and everyone used to just find it fucking hilarious. Like, do you think the appetite now is different, or there's still part of us that like kind of loves almost that vulgarity of it?
I definitely think the appetite has changed. I think people have completely opened their eyes to the problematic nature of so many of it. I mean, do you remember 10 Years Younger with, I think it might have been Cindy and Susanna or someone else, and it was so bad. It was like women in their 40s, which is terrifying to think now, and they'd be like, you need a full facelift, you need a tummy tuck, like all of this, and then they'd like do all this surgery on them and then be like, ta-da. Like, it was so bad, and that's what we grew up with. And yeah, I mean, the X Factor, I mean, there are obviously still some very iconic auditions.
I will agree with you there.
I'm very grateful for them because they provided a lot of laughs at the time, but I don't think that people like that anymore. I could be wrong. I haven't watched shows like Britain's Got Talent or things like that in a long time. But yeah, I like to think that people aren't into that kind of vulgarity, as you say, anymore. And it's more, I think it's got a lot more clever as well. Like things like The Traitors, for example. I mean, there's so much that goes into that. You're seeing people's kind of as you say, you're seeing people's kind of inner nature, and it's very clever, and it kind of plays on all those different kind of social cues and things like that. I think, whereas it used to be like, you're ugly, like, like, you know, I think things are a lot more clever now, and things you have to keep up with the times.
I always find it funny watching Traitors, because I'm like screaming at the screen, because they're like, I can't believe you betrayed me. I can't believe you're a traitor. And they're like bawling their eyes out, and they're like running away, and they're like screaming at someone else, like, you promised. I'm like, did you not know the name of this show? Like,
yeah,
you
knew what you were
signed
up
up for this shit. And it just makes me laugh. But yeah, it's interesting you say about the X Factor and Britain's Got Talent, because I feel like the viewership has gone right down. I don't think people really watch it anymore. We don't watch it anymore. I mean, I know it's awful that, you know, they would get, you know, terrible singers, terrible dancers on stage, but that's what did well. That's what made people watch it, I think. And now they're a little bit more, you know, obviously they don't want to bully people. And it's interesting that, you know, our human nature, we don't want to watch it anymore. It's that, you know, it goes back to that kind of, we want to see the drama. We want to see people, you know, being laughed at. And that's a horrible thing, you know, to kind of admit and to say. But, you know, we do watch these reality TV shows, and we do watch these people on screen going through kind of traumatic events in their life, or, you know, dramas with friends. And that's what we want to watch. We want to watch the conflict. We want to watch the drama.
Do you think it's created a bit of a hunger for fame? Because I think back to, you know, earlier in the episode when we spoke about how, you know, people are going on these shows now with their eyes open. They know if they play their cards right, they stick out, they have a good storyline, a good arc, they can create a career out of this. And I think a while ago, when Love Island just fired up, it was one of the early seasons of Love Island, Montana was on, I think it was like Good Morning or something, and she really openly said, like, I went on it because I wanted to be a TV presenter. And that was quite like radical at that stage, because I think we were still at that point of like, they're going on it for love, and, you know, they weren't, or some of them maybe weren't. Do you think the kind of sausage factory of reality TV stars that are getting spat out the other end is an issue, or do you think they can just go back to the day job?
I love that you've just said it's a sausage factory.
She loves saying that. I feel like you've said that like 3 times in the past 2
No,
weeks.
I said it's how the sausage is made.
She just loves a sausage analogy.
I'm going to be taking that one. Yeah, I think it just really depends. I think with the rise of, well, I say with the rise of social media, I mean, that's a load of rubbish. Social media has been around forever, but with like TikTok and things like that, and the fact that people are seeing that if they get a big enough brand on TikTok, that can sustain their lifestyle, and they can actually earn more than they would in a regular day job. So, and I know this has been the case for a long time, but I do think with TikTok, it's probably got worse or bigger. And so I think it's very rare now for someone to go onto a show that's just been in a regular day job and doesn't already have a brand that they want to build. So yeah, I absolutely think it's made people fame hungry. Is that a good word? Maybe. Yeah, I think people just they are looking for a platform, and there's so many people looking for a platform, and I don't necessarily know if that's changed, but I think maybe the net has got wider with things like TikTok and not needing to be a triple threat in order to be famous, but actually just needing to make good videos and good content. So yeah, I definitely think it's a great platform for that, and people are fighting tooth and nail to get that platform. I'm thinking back to like series 2 of Love Island, when it was Olivia Bowen and, well, Olivia, can't remember her maiden name now, but now it's Olivia and Alex Bowen. And Alex was, you know, a scaffolder that came in, and they were just kind of regular people. And that was also the heyday of Love Island. Obviously, there's a running theme that every first few series of a show were the best. There have been people that have come out of Love Island and gone on to do a regular job, but yeah, I think they're few and far between.
Interesting. I mean, I feel like we could talk about reality TV with you like genuinely all day. There's just so much here, but we like to wrap up by asking, is it really that deep? Is it the fact that it's not that deep? Is that the enjoyment of it? Or do you think it's created this kind of, hunger for fame or, shallow nature that actually is a bit problematic? What's your thoughts?
I 100% think it's not that deep. I think it's, as we were saying earlier, in the early days where, contestants or cast members maybe weren't fully understanding of what they were getting themselves into, or there was these kind of problematic areas, then I would have said it is quite deep actually. But nowadays, I think people are willing participants. They know exactly what they're getting themselves into, and viewers at home absolutely love it and they love the escapism. So yeah, it's not that deep. I love it, babes.
I love it, babes. Can I also just ask, what is MILF Manor? Because I literally was looking up reality shows that I hadn't seen, and I saw MILF Manor and I was like, there's 2 seasons of that. What is that?
I haven't seen that. I've heard about it. I think it's a little bit like My Mum, Your Dad, but it's actually a load of mums and younger guys. But I don't know. I haven't seen it, but it sounds great. Maybe that's going to be my Sunday viewing.
Yeah. I know. I'm thinking, I've got The Secret Life of Mormons to watch and MILF Manor. This is what I'm taking from this. I actually will watch The Secret Life of Mormon Wives because that sounds really brilliant and definitely up my street. So.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I will bring all the intellectual shows for you to watch to really broaden
Goodbye Sunday.
I also agree. I don't think it is that deep either. And I think it is kind of the point of, and I think my biggest frustration with reality TV and listening to you speak is that it does get dismissed as stupid or shallow, and I think by that extension the rhetoric is that maybe the people who watch it must be too. I think that's often how it's packaged up and shaped, and I really dislike that. And even though it's kind of, it can be a bit surface level, it doesn't mean it's meaningless. And I think for so many people it's a way to switch off, connect, and have a shared cultural moment, and it's community, it's something to laugh about, it's something to bond over. And I actually think that really matters. I think the part I struggle with is what happens when the cameras and the lights go off, and how that relationship with fame is shaped. But I agree with you. I think nowadays people know what they're signing up for, really. Luce, do you have a kind of a take?
I mean, I feel like you pretty much said it. Both. I really don't think it's that deep. I agree. I think it's an escapism. And I think we watch it when we want to switch off from everything. And you if something kind of dramatic is going on in your life that you don't really want to think about, and you want to watch someone else's dramatic life, and it makes you feel better that someone else is going through something similarly to you. I think in a way that's maybe a form of therapy. So no, I don't think it's that deep.
I do have to say as well that if you want to wave the flag that it is slightly intellectual, I did actually use a quote from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in my psychology uni dissertation, and I got a first. So it is intellectual, okay? Let it be known, Real Housewives is intellectual.
And now it's time for...
And what a pile of bollocks!
This is the time in the show where we talk about something really insignificant that just makes us mad, angry, fucks us off. And it's our guest's turn. Lottie, what do you have for us today?
Youths.
The youths.
I'm not talking about every youth. Obviously, I've got nieces and nephews, love them. But, it's the packs of teenagers. They do seem to just move in packs, and they're always everywhere. They're in the park, they're on the train, they're on the pavement, and not getting out of the way because the world only revolves around them. It's their world and we're just living in it. But I don't think any of them own a headphone because they just play TikTok out loud on the train. And they're just so annoying. So yeah, I think it's got to be youths. There's just so many of them around, and I know I sound like a cranky old lady, but they are friggin' annoying.
Bring a youth curfew, that's what I say. 9 p.m.
Yeah, and they can never afford to pay for a Lime bike, so all I hear outside my window during the day is click 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 of the like Lime bikes that they've stolen, and they're just so annoying. So
why aren't they in school?
It's literally always half term. I don't think school actually exists. I'm like, I blink and it's half term again. I'm like, what are these children doing here? Oh, it's half term.
I do agree with that. I am a professional shopper as my job, and when I'm going to the shopping centres to get my professional shopping load, there is youths everywhere all the time, and they're just hanging about, getting in the way. They've got their bubble tea, and yeah, they're just really annoying.
Oh, and don't they walk so slowly as well? Yeah. They just saunter around, not a care in the world. Oh no.
I'm just thinking, like, what are they doing? Or they'll just be sat with their knees up, like on TikTok in a shopping centre doing nothing. I mean, I guess where else is there to hang out? Also, like, the luxury of being able to hang out in like Westfield, these rich youths.
Exactly. They've got their money for a pretzel at lunch.
Thank you so much for listening to Shallow. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could leave us a review. It makes a huge difference in helping others to discover the podcast. We always want to hear from you, so feel free to slide into our DMs or follow us on Instagram @shallowpod, or send us an email at shallow@boxedoff.studio. Shallow is a Boxed Off production, written and hosted by Lucy Bell and Phoebe Whittle. We'll see you next time.